This is the limestone lowdown. Hear the sound when you lie through the issues all around. From every corner, let's make it clear. The change we need is starting here.
Hi everybody, welcome to the latest episode of the Limestone Lowdown. Today we're going to cover the October 28th meeting, which I was kind of flying solo because Amanda wasn't there.
Yeah, as we're going back and looking through stuff, I was like, oh man, I wasn't even at this meeting.
And she told me I should have taken better notes.
How did I miss?
Goodness.
Well, I'm glad. I was like, how did I miss some of these things that were on here? And come to find out, I wasn't even here. There was a lot of money that was spent. Again, probably necessary, but it was just one of those things. I was like, how did we miss this? So,
but it started off with a public hearing to rezone 12.5 acres really close to Strain Road, which if you found out in our last episode, Strain Road is where the on either side of I-65, a traditionally black and poor neighborhood that was split by I-65 and that has sewer problems probably since its very inception. And this is right there with it. And they rezoned it from, let me actually read it, single family resident district to high density. So it's like we're going from a community already bringing in another community, which could potentially hurt what's going on with them, with flooding, with the sewer system and everything else, to adding in even more. So I got up during the agenda items things and said, hey guys, what's going on with this? Is this really a really a good idea to do this? And of course, nothing. Got nothing. Just stares. And then it was funny that
there's somebody that...
So yeah, right after I got up and said that, do we really need to rezone this and add even more considering the proximity to Strain Road? The Caddy Stewart, a engineer from Morrell Engineering, got up and said that the proposed rezone and stated it would decrease the density and the improvements for the sewer already in place. Well, that doesn't really make sense if we're going from single family houses to high density single family residents.
Well, they're giving all of the new residential places all the cream of the crop, the best there is. So,
but don't tell me it's going to be less people when it's going to be more people. Yeah. More people, more problems,
well,
right?
They were saying what it was going to be. I guess the sewage itself was going to be, I guess that's the way it reads. But, of course, all the new subdivisions. And the irony is that that this will be something that the city takes on because it's on city sewer.
Correct.
So the city pays for all of the new stuff to be put in for these new houses.
But it still goes back to the proximity to it. You have to, it's kind of a lower lying area, and you have to build up these subdivisions. No, not the pressure. I'm talking about just the levelness of the houses.
Yeah.
So you have to build it up some. So really you're creating even more flood issues and sewer problems because the sewer problems are exacerbated every time it rains. So you're really creating even more problems for these folks because of the proximity of these, and then you're going from regular single family to high density, so you're really creating even more problems.
Yeah.
But, nothing to see here, folks. It's not like I said, nothing.
I guess they were saying, like, for the new residential place, like what they're doing, is it's not going to create a problem for them.
Well, yeah, that's what they were saying.
They don't want to they don't care about the people that are on Strain Road.
It's the new stuff.
It's the new stuff.
Oh, yeah, it's not going to affect the new stuff. They'll be fine.
Yeah, well, yeah, because the city's been doing all those road improvements right there off Strain Road, too. And the turn lane, the median right there off 31 at Strain Road. And then they're building those subdivisions, I'm guessing, because, again, like, it's February now. So I guess they've already started back what they posed that that subdivision.
Yes, I'm sure. I guess they've already started it. I don't really know.
We drove by there the other day.
Yes, it could have been one of those. I don't know on what side of Strain Road because, this doesn't tell you anything.
Right.
Of course not. So, here's another little fun one that the city was authorized Ronnie Marks to enter in a contract with Wolfco Media for 1 year at a cost of $2,250 a month, a total of $27,000 to be funded from the general budget for... It didn't even say, really, right here. Now we know what it is, months later, but right here it doesn't really tell you anything. So basically what this boils down to is there's this PR for the city, but it's really turned into PR for Ronnie Marks when he does his Minute with the Mayor, and he talks about...
Well, the irony that it's an election year.
Well, that too.
Yeah,
and that he's rumored to be running for re-election at 80-plus years old. It's like, what else do you need to accomplish?
Right. So we've approved nearly $30,000 from the general fund to do these snippets for $2,200 a month. And he's calling them A Minute with the Mayor. Again, I know we're only in October right now, and we'll get to those. But, is it just free publicity for the mayor if he's, suspected to run again?
Now, you can't say that. There's been 2 Minute with the Mayors, and they did one on the electric department, and then I think they did one on something else. I don't remember.
Well, yeah, but of course still, the mayor's the highlight in it. It's it's tooting his own horn, patting his own back, all the great and wonderful things that he has done.
Please come to him with any concerns, which I actually called him out at one of these meetings for... Mayor, I saw your little Minute with the Mayor, and you're talking about how open and everything else you want to be, but yet you cut off all comments when it's not something you want to hear. So he didn't like that very much. But.
So, yeah, we'll get into that, but we didn't even... Again, this was a really short city council meeting. I wasn't there, and so I think that must have just kind of flown under the radar. And again, like we've been saying since the beginning...
Well, it flew on the radar because there was no information with it.
Well, that's
it's
what I'm saying.
What is this going to be for?
Just about to say that Scott Marshall's been saying it since we got there, and then I've mentioned it several times that you need to give more information. Like, it's been said... You just give what you want the city to know, but you don't want to give any more information. My favorite thing that was in here was they talked about the short-term rentals. So
oh, goodness.
Let's go back a little bit. Let's go back a couple meetings.
But what do they mean by short-term rentals?
Right, but hang on. That's where I'm saying we go back a few meetings, and one of our sitting city councilmen has... nearly 80 rental properties and never had any city business licenses, so was not paying any city business tax or anything on any of his income. And his accountant also, that accountant works for the accounting firm that does all of the financial stuff for the city and the school. They said that he paid such a small amount that it was the smallest line item. So now the city wants to start a short-term rental thing. So basically for Airbnbs, the city's going to collect their money. They're going to make sure they get their money from people.
People besides the city councilor, though.
Or anybody affiliated with the city. Yes.
So the city planner, Aaron, gave this whole presentation. It was probably a 30-minute presentation talking about everything in the world about it and how it was great and wonderful and the city needed it. And that's where our, I guess, occasionally I will give him props. Harold Wells wakes up and he's like, what is this? Like, I don't know if this is a good idea. And it sounds good for people in, subdivisions because it's easily enforceable. It's easy for people to control it, to take care of it. Not so controllable for people that live outside of neighborhoods. So Harold Wells gave a very impassionate, he probably gave a 20 to 30 minute rebuttal to, what was going on. And I applaud him for at least asking questions. Now, in the end, he ended up voting yes, like he always does, like they always do. Again, I've only heard like 2 no's in, 6 months. But I do give him props for at least asking questions because usually it's just, they tell you somewhat what it is, and it's like yes, 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 and then there's no no's, and there's no questioning, there's no nothing really. So yes, I'll give Mr. Wells props for that.
One of the things that's concerning about hearing you say that is him coming back with a rebuttal and being so passionate about it. This tells you that they don't read ahead. They don't know what's coming. I mean, Mr. Wells, as nice as he is, and again, he's the only councilman that's ever gotten back with me on anything. He's still 80 himself. And like you're saying, he never votes no on anything. We've heard like 2 no's the entire time that we've been attending these city council meetings. But he acts like they don't know. He acts like this is the first time that they've ever heard any of this.
Well, that sounds like a problem.
It does. Now that you say that, you're like, him getting so passionate. And the other time when he got mad at the mayor and they went back and forth over that alcohol, the liquor store, that he acts like this is like the first time that they've seen this. Why are you waiting until you get at a council meeting to hear what this stuff is? Anyways, as
Exactly.
I digress, one of the things I found interesting, this is as they're going over, I guess when you said that Aaron had gotten up and talked for like 30 minutes, they went over the entire ordinances. I just always go back to these business licenses because they allowed a sitting city councilman to not have business licenses. And one of the things, overdue business license taxes and lodging taxes for short-term residential rentals. Any and all owners and operators of location used for existing short-term residential rentals within the city that report their information to the city's planning department as provided in Section 3 that it come into compliance with such business licensing and lodging liabilities during the 30-day reporting period set forth in Section 3, or initiate such compliance effort as determined by the mayor, and shall not pay any penalties or late fees to the city with respect to the same time. So you're highlighting what the short-term rentals and business licenses can do, but we don't make our own city councilmen
Follow.
Right, and then it also goes into Section 5, renting and or leasing. Each person engaged in the business of renting or leasing real or personal property to others, including but not limited to apartments, office space, buildings, houses, office furniture, and equipment, shall pay a license tax based on gross receipts as follows. And it goes into what those are. So, again, I just think the irony that they go over all of the exact things down to the dollar amount on what you owe and what's applicable to your business license for short-term rentals, but we don't make any other city officials have to abide by that.
It's funny that they go into all these details about that, but Chris Seibert's accountant got up and said, how is he expected to know all these ordinances?
Well, you pass them.
That's what I'm saying. You pass them, you voted on it, so are you saying you don't know what you voted on? Because here's the thing. There is probably 2,000-3,000 ordinances, and if I was on the city council, I might not know them all, and that's okay. But if I wanted to attempt to have housing as he does, I believe I would know what would be applicable to me, and I would know what I needed to do to make myself not look bad. But yet, we're just going to throw our hands up and say he don't know.
And it's okay that he didn't know.
Which is crazy.
And that it's the smallest line item.
Well, not according to even this right here, the penalties would be higher than what were enforced on him.
Right.
If he really paid anything at all, because I still have my doubts about that.
Oh, yeah.
But, nevertheless.
So there was also a resolution for the city of Athens to enter into a contract purchase mobile application software for the police department. So they're entering into a CAD, for CAD and mobile data information systems. It's
where the police officers could have better information, like if they're running a plate or somebody's name, they could get more real-time information, if I remember correctly.
Southern Software, looks like it's $55,000 for that they got. And see, those are things that, to me, the city shouldn't have anything over. That should be in a slush fund that the police department, that they need to have their own money, their own pot of money that they don't have to get approval
Well, if they were their own entity, they could.
That's where I'm going with that they shouldn't have to fall under city council and get permission from the council and mayor to want to do something extra like that. That's something that, to me, is necessary in our in our city. One more thing. Let's see. A resolution approving the addition of cameras to Athens Sportsplex and other city facilities. So I found this interesting, and I was asking, this is where I told Jerry, like, what is this $80,000 that they have approved? Let's see. Actually, it's $90,000. $90,451.
Did Athens suddenly become Fort Knox or something? Do we need cameras on every corner? What are we doing?
That better, because we're coming and they need to.
Well,
they're trying to.
They did add the metal detector now, so they're afraid of something. I don't know what.
So it says the project will include the addition of 26 cameras at various locations around the Sportsplex, to include addition to microwave network links at the rec center. Let's see, acquiring equipment and installation of government service involving the facilities, personnel, and other assets that enable the city's various services to the general public, and updated equipment technology. Maybe this is where the metal detector came into place.
But do you want to talk about where these funds came from that you found very interesting?
Oh, yeah. So this was, the fund. This is where it goes back to none of this information. It's on the meeting minutes after it's already been published. And none of this is said up front.
Well, I think you would need to go into just a little bit about that. So the agenda comes out, sometimes it's Sunday, sometimes it's Friday. So again, that's kind of right before. You would think you could put those out at least a week beforehand. But the meeting minutes, there's even more details in the meeting minutes than you get if you actually go and sit at these city council meetings. So these meeting minutes come out sometimes weeks, months later, and it fills in like some gaps. They don't tell you everything, but it at least fills in some gaps. So if you would like to pick up from that, I just wanted people to know that you have the agenda comes out at least a couple days before the meeting, and with the just kind of an outline, and then you have the meeting minutes that come weeks, months later, and it's much more detailed about everything that was said in the meeting.
And two, even at the city council meeting, they don't read what's on the actual agenda. They go in more depth. So it's like you already have this information. Just put it out there publicly. They, like one meeting when they were talking about buying property, they already knew like the parcel number. They knew exactly where it was at. They knew how much they were buying it for. So when they get up and talk about it, it's already there, but they don't put that in the agenda. So it's almost like they put as few words as possible for you to not ask questions. And so anyways, the last line here, it says the funds in support of this resolution are authorized to be expended from the city's allocation of the coronavirus state and local physical recovery funds.
Ooh, that's a mouthful.
But recovery funds, why are we using recovery funds for cameras? You would think that would be used for something else. I don't know.
So that, I guess that when she read that, as we were going back over our notes, that caused me to like, so how much was this fund to start with, and how much is left, and exactly what can these funds be spent on? So just more questions, because that wasn't discussed in the meeting. So it's kind of like,
right.
What's going on, folks?
So another resolution concerning the commitment of the ARPA funding for park improvements. So we go.
So that's what's going on now.
Yeah, I know. That's why it caught my attention. I was like, oh. And so they're going into the Robert Allen Tenon Park and the city sportsplex, including the addition of batting cages at each one of those parks. And then therefore it be resolved by the City Council of the City of Athens, Alabama, October 28th, 2024 at 4:30. The Cemetery Parks and Recreations Director is authorized to accept the proposal from Huntsville Fence Company to install 2 sets of batting cages, which will include 2 batting cages at Robert Allen Tenon Park and 2 cages at the Sportsplex, costing $28,000. The Cemetery Parks and Recs Director is authorized to expend up to $5,000 for construction of the concrete pads for the batting cages. The construction of these pads will be performed by the city employees. So, yeah.
Look at that.
I know. And then, this was it, Jared. A resolution approving the purchase of a metal detector for City Hall.
I told you.
So that is new. And they just used it this last time, this second meeting in January. They finally had that. We'll talk about that whenever we put that meeting out. But yeah, that got approved back in there. Let's see. The mayor has authorized the purchase of a metal detector from Granger at a cost of not to exceed $6,000. The funds in support of this resolution are authorized to be expended from the city's allocation of the coronavirus state and local fiscal.
Oh, we hit that doubly on that.
We sure did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How much has the slush fund still got in it, guys?
Yeah, I know.
What else can we buy?
People have mentioned that about like coronavirus funding. I didn't realize there was so much. That's why I guess at a national level, it's kind of like
anything that went on 2020 and after, question it, folks, is what we were told.
Yeah.
Because millions, probably billions of dollars at this point just flying left and right for corona.
Well, I mean, it's like a money laundering scheme, it seems like. The Cemetery Parks and Recreations Director is authorized to purchase a fireproof filing cabinet in the amount to not to exceed $7,700. Again, that's another coronavirus state and local fiscal recovery fund that we're coming out of. So we're at what? $90,000, $7,000. Man, we must have got a chunk of money from the coronavirus. Yep. And then this was really short. So then we go into public comments. Miss Crafton got up, thanked the mayor and Public Works for paving Kings Drive, said that their subdivision is safer with the frequent police patrols, and thanked Chief Presnell Big A and all of the officers that protect them. Mr. Crafton got up and addressed the council regarding several remarks that have been made at previous meetings regarding the Haitian migrants. Mr. Crafton remarked that the citizens should ask questions of the government as to how money is being spent, and advised everyone to do their research regarding immigration policy. Do you remember that comment?
I actually don't. No. It's been... I've slept a little bit since then.
Well, that's just a big one. I mean, I just wonder if it was like a condescending, like, to do your research, or if it was like actually in support of like what's going on. Yeah,
I think it was in support, because I generally remember the negative. I don't. It's harder to remember the positive. So I would venture to say...
did remark that the citizens should ask questions of the government as to how money is being spent.
And do their own research. That's what we've said.
Yep.
You don't have to believe anything we say. Do your own research.
Well, and that's one thing that we said. We're like, don't take our word. And even to you guys that are listening, like, don't take what we're saying as the Bible, as factual. This is our interpretation, our opinion of the way things are going. And the whole reason that we started this podcast was to just kind of get our story out there, and it's the way that we interpret it. It's the way that we've been treated by people. So next, Jared got up and talked about Strain Road.
Again.
Asked the mayor for clarification of the possible project, when, if that was going to happen. As we talked about last time, that was the first meeting, and that there was something that came up. Like, the mayor kind of kicked the ball down the road to January, especially with state funds.
But the biggest thing I asked about was code enforcement, because there was a whole big thing in the short-term Airbnbs about code enforcement.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
So, back to our favorite city councilor with no business license, code enforcement. His houses I don't even know how to explain. Again, I wish I was better with the words to just like draw you a picture with words. Think about like a doghouse that you built when you were a kid, and then now, say 40 years later, it's like leaning, like it's got some rot on it, it's missing a few shingles.
Just normal wear and tear kind of stuff over the years. But
that nobody's put any money or effort into.
Well, and some of these houses are like really old and just not. I mean, it's clearly a rental.
Like the original windows, no insulation.
Original windows? Heck, the windows aren't even there.
Well, sometimes not.
Some of
they put plexiglass
or something. Yeah.
But anyway, so we have code enforcement apparently in the city of Athens, but code enforcement has never gone after this city councilor. And matter of fact, we've been told they're not to go after him and a few certain select other families who owns a lot of houses in North Athens. So I ask, why are we concerned about this code enforcement over these Airbnbs? We should be more concerned about the North Athens slums that nobody even looks at.
Yeah, because you have to pass an inspection in order before an Airbnb can host its first people. They have to have an inspection by the city of Athens, so there has to be one on file. And that's where it goes back. And then we found out that inspection reports are public information. We can do a public records request. That's been a whole ongoing issue that we'll bring up in other council meetings, but we're still waiting on those. But it clearly says on your public records request form that you're allowed to have that, or that you have to have that. And then lastly, Mr. Mark Wilson, as always, he gets up and he always talks about the conditions of the houses in his community, because he lives in this district and has his entire life, 60 plus years, and he has seen the decline and the deterioration and the lack of attention that this area has been given. One of his things is that he's talked about that Westmoreland is too narrow for emergency personnel. And
now Westmoreland goes back to Strain Road too. It's in the Strain Road community.
Gotcha. Well, I just know that he talks a lot about those emergency vehicles being
Correct.
able to turn from.
But I just wanted to let you know
Yeah.
for sure Westmoreland is over into the Strain area. So that's directly related to that. So not only do they have problems not being able to use the bathroom with water, now on top of that, the roads are so narrow that emergency vehicles have a hard time getting through there. So
Well,
it's
just
like,
as we close up, one thing that Mark that he always says is that Athens has been given state money to widen some of these roads, not necessarily this one that he mentioned on Westmoreland, but the state has given Athens money to widen some of these roads for access for emergency vehicles, and they didn't use it. They've even been given money to put sidewalks in, and they didn't use it appropriately. So it's like, where is that money?
and one
going
of
to?
our state representatives have tried to give them money
Right.
for different stuff, and they've
it's
different
just
priorities.
Well, they take the money from the state, but the state doesn't ever come back and check up on them. But anyways,
Correct.
that was one of the things that Mark Wilson talked about, was about the narrow access for emergency personnel over in that area. So again, not a super long meeting, but of course always spending money. Always keeps us entertained for sure. So thank you guys for listening, and until next time.
And that's a wrap for this episode of the Limestone Lowdown, where we break down the issues, keep you informed, and give you facts straight from the source. Remember, your voice matters, your vote counts, and your community thrives when we stay engaged. Stay tuned, stay informed, and stay involved. Until next time, keep questioning, keep advocating, and keep shaping the future of the Limestone area. We'll see you on the next Limestone Lowdown.